G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be going through the 3 games that matter for round 4 2025. We've gotten 3 rounds in so far, and we've got the Hawks sitting at the top of the table and some massive games coming up. Ones are going to have lots and lots of consequences, and that's what this segment's all about, just going through a few of those games that are going to shape how the season's going to pan out. Ones that just have drastic consequences for the loser, generally speaking, but and also really get an understanding of the shape of the ladder and where sides are at, key clashes to look at. That's what we're doing. So I'll jump into the big 3 games that we're going to look into this round, do a little bit of a preview of, more so no particular order, just going through the games that we've got ahead of ourselves. So let's get stuck into the first one. So the first one we've got Thursday night coming up very shortly, Collingwood and Carlton. It's a rivalry that goes back to the beginning of time. And we haven't got a bit of form line here. That's good. We do like a bit of form line. Collingwood had the bye, and the Blues, they went down to the Doggies in a narrow loss. Always a close clash, this one, and Collingwood have won 5 of the last 6, so they've had a good record of late over the Blues. Even when the Blues have been playing some decent footy, the Pies just always find a way to get across the line more often than not. Carlton will be wanting to avenge themselves here after their 0-3 start, and a big part of what makes this game a key match is if the Pies are successful, all of a sudden the Blues are looking 0-4 and finals are looking very, very unlikely. We have seen teams, find their way. Pretty sure Brisbane were 0-3 or even 0-4 at one stage throughout season 2024, and they were okay. I think they're a bit of a different calibre than the Blues might be. But as we can see, it tends to be pretty close. The Blues got the job done late 2023. I think that's when Kerno went absolutely crazy, and it was late in the year, and the Pies kind of had their top 4 pretty well wrapped up. But outside of that, it's been pretty close. The Pies, just continue to get it done. Key match, Pies will be wanting to get another win, especially against their arch nemesis, the Blues. And going to be very interesting to see how it does pan out. If you want to see who I've picked for this week's game, feel free to have a suss of my round 4 tips for season 2025. It's going to be an absolute cracker. And moving on to the next game, we've got Geelong and Melbourne. This one will be at GMHBA Stadium down the highway at the Cattery. This clash is enthralling on many fronts, and the weight of the world's on Melbourne's shoulders at the moment after they had another 10-goal loss. Went down to Gold Coast at their home deck at the MCG, sitting at 0-3 at the moment, and the Cats sitting at 1-2, so it's quite a precarious match for the loser. You feel like if it was Geelong, then that would be pretty disastrous going 1-3, even more so. If Melbourne go 0-4, it's just about season done and dusted, and we've barely started the year, only 4 weeks in. So both sides have a bit of work to do. The Cats have played some good patches of footy. They went down to the Lions by 9 points in the 2024 preliminary final rematch. As just mentioned before, the D's went down to the Suns, about a 10-goal loss in the end. So pretty alarming at the MCG. The sirens were going off everywhere, and by the end of the game, it was not looking good for the D's, who were just, unfortunately, not quite there, pretty well switched off and not able to make a post a winner on that front. But the Cats haven't defeated the D's at the MCG since 2020, so we don't have to worry about that. And it was one of the more horrible games you'll ever see. But the last few times at GMHBA, we played at GMHBA a little bit against the D's. The Cats have won the last few clashes. 15 points and 28 points in 2022 when Melbourne were still in their absolute prime, in their top 4 sort of prime. But, the Cats were at another level that year. These are, very, very, low odds to win there, but clearly not a guaranteed win. There's no real guaranteed wins after we saw what Richmond did to the Blues. The Cats yeah, it's a big game for them at home. It's one of their key home games that they'll want to get the job done. But for the loser here, yeah, it really balks the season. So it's so interesting because Melbourne they will have a response at some stage. I don't know if it's going to be this week. I thought it was going to be against Gold Coast. So if there's ever going to be a response, it'd be this week. So the Cats would need to expect a D's best. Recent form, Geelong goes relatively okay, but yeah, clearly you've got to take a fair bit of info into consideration, and really it's a team that's the best attitude on the night that can execute the best. So yeah, again, I had the Cats in that round 1 clash with the Dockers being, quite well earmarked for top 4. So yeah, Cats will be having big thoughts and feelings on what they can do this season. They'll almost have to win this game, but also Melbourne, yeah, they need to win it as well. So it's the monumental clash. But we'll move on to the final game of the round that is very notable to discuss. And yeah, very, very interesting is we've got Gold Coast up against Adelaide. Gold Coast had a big win over the D's, as we just mentioned. And when we talk on the Adelaide side of things, they had a pretty comfortable win over North Melbourne, about six goals in the end. Adelaide had an unbelievable record over the Suns, very early days, and the Suns have been able to somewhat arrest the momentum, as we can see in 2023 and also last year. They were able to find a way to get 4 points, but Adelaide was one of those teams that just could not lose to the Suns, and the Suns consequently could just not beat the Crows. Both sides sitting near the top of the table. They're both undefeated at this point in time, even though Gold Coast haven't played nearly as much footy with the bye that they've had so far in the season. But what a game it shapes to be. Gold Coast pretty good at their home deck. They're normally very menacing at People First Stadium up in the Gold Coast. Crows, as we mentioned, have a traditionally pretty solid record over the Suns, but it's going to be such an intriguing clash. If the Crows' previous record holds up, and we get a really good litmus test for both sides here. Are the Suns the real deal? Are the Crows the real deal? And I think that's why this clash is very enticing, because you get really good understanding depending on which team wins and how they win. Will have a real big determination on where these sides could sort of land come season end. So it shapes to be quite a big clash, and the winner will be definitely deserving of 4 points, considering both the teams' form lines that we've seen at this point in the season. So there you go, guys. Those are the games that would shape how season 2025 looks, and more specifically for this round, it'll shape how the round could look in terms of when these games are actually on. But they're just big games with big consequences, especially for the first two sides. And then with the final game out of the top 3 I mentioned there, good understanding of who's real, and early days anyway, and perhaps we'll just get a good litmus test for both those sides who are sitting quite pretty in the top 4, albeit very early days. So there you go. That's it from me, guys. Comment the 3 biggest games that you've got in your sights for this week that shape how the ladder looks, and just your general gut feel of how it all stands with the games we've got this week. 8 games this week with a couple of buys, as mentioned there. If you guys are keen to see who I've tipped this week, you can check my AFL tips video out and get amongst that as well if you like. Give the video a like, subscribe away, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll catch you in the next video.